Welcome back, everybody. Today we're talking about a very common question that I get, and that's the CNS. Overloading the CNS, training for big weights. What does it mean to work the CNS? So before I get into that really quick, I want to thank my sponsors, give a quick shout out to Unleashed Strength Gym, also Anderson Powerlifting down in Texas, and Alive by Design Chiropractic Care. I've been lifting weights for about 18 years. The summer of this year will be 18 years on the dot for me. I've been training, competing in powerlifting, bench pressing, stuff like that for about 13 years. This year will mark 14 for me. I've been training with weights between 1,000, 1,100, 1,200, even 1,300 pounds as far back as about a year ago. So these are not strange numbers to me. These are things I've had to work for over time, and it's taken like 18 years. When I first started lifting weights, I was bench pressing about 100 or 120 pounds, and it's taken me damn near 2 decades to get up to my most current lift, which is the 1,120 pounds that I did in single ply equipment back in June of 2021. So as I said, very common weights, anywhere between that 300-pound range, 1,000 to 1,300 pounds are very common weights. Now, when I handle these weights, when my CNS is fresh, when I'm not burnt out, weights move very, very well in these weight ranges. As you can see from some of the videos, I can rep with those kind of weights. I'm not destroyed by them. These things take a long time to develop. When you go above and beyond, say, 1,300 pounds is something I've handled many, many times in the past, and it doesn't shock my system. Now, when I go to something like what we saw recently, when I went up to 1,400 pounds, now that weight definitely took more out of me than I wanted to admit. That was 100 pounds more than any weight I've handled in the past, ever in my entire life. So I really strained my CNS. Then I came into the gym the week after. Normally, when I'm done with these workouts, these heavy weights, these 1,300 pound weights, I can recover in a week. I feel great after a week, get right back to the gym, hit the big weights, and keep going. In the case where my CNS gets fried, the weights the next week, it might take longer than just 1 week. Sometimes it'll take 2 weeks, which is in the case after that 1,400 pound lift. I came in the next week, I tried to bench 1,200. I did it successfully, but as you can see, I was getting the shakes really, really bad. And this is not something that I do normally. I don't normally shake under heavy weight. I'm very, very steady, very confident. So that's just one example of the CNS being taxed, what it can do. It can cause shakes. You're not fully prepared and fully recovered to handle these weights again. It may take longer than normal to recover from those, say, normal workouts. So after those 2 weeks, I'm planning on getting back at it, hitting the heavy weights again. And the next time, as I predict, that I handle 1,400 pounds, which is, I'm not going to only handle it once, it's going to be many, many times. It should be much easier. My CNS will come back after being fried. When it fully recovers, you come back stronger than you were before. You can handle those heavier weights. It doesn't make them light, but it makes you able to handle them more. And that's what's going to lead you, or lead myself, to handling even heavier weight than that. It's about killing the CNS, letting it recover, and then building back up, and then killing it again, letting it recover. It's this whole process that I've been doing for almost 2 decades, almost 18 years of lifting, 14 of those years being competitive. These are things I've had to do to achieve my 600-pound bench, 700, 800, 900, 1,000, all the way up to 1,120 pounds and beyond. Now, what are some ways that I personally use to increase my recovery time for the CNS? It's very difficult. It's not something like, oh, I take a lot of protein, I hydrate, stuff like that. It's a lot more to it. There's sleep is the number one thing. Rest. If it's a really rough week, like it has been for me, I back off on the other training. I still train, I'm always active, but I back off on the intensity, on the weight that week. I don't make it an off week. I'm not a big fan of deloading. I'm not a believer in deloading, but I do take it easy to help speed up the recovery of the CNS. The best thing is time. The other aspect of this, I think, that people misunderstand is that a lot of it has to do with genetics. I've trained with many training partners over the years. They try to keep up with me, train like me, and a lot of them have not been able to train the way I do. They get burnt out very quickly. I train heavy week to week, year round. I don't deload, I don't take time off. That's just the way I like to train. It's the way I've trained my entire career, and it works for me personally. I don't recommend that to everybody. Genetics is going to determine how long you need to recover between these giant frying sessions of your CNS, and then also the amount of sleep you can get. I would imagine things like stress, the amount of food. Obviously, we got to recover the physical body, food intake, protein, carbs, calories, things of that nature, all the simple things that anybody else would do to recover the body. But pay attention and listen to what's going on. If you come into the gym after a really heavy day, really heavy bench, something you've never done before, probably expect that you're going to have to go a little bit lighter than you would normally. Even the normal weights, like I said, but for me, anywhere between 11, 12, 1,300 pounds sometimes, like this past week after the 1,400 pounds, was too much. I was not recovered enough to even do that. I was shaking underneath 700 pounds. As one of my warm-up sets, my arms were shaking. So to wrap it up, again, that is my take on CNS recovery, how you use it to build the bigger lifts. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have questions or comments, anybody that has any more ideas or ways they recover from heavy bench sessions or heavy powerlifting sessions in terms of the CNS go, please drop it in the comments below and let us know. So thanks for being here.